Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, where we review stories that beautiful people like yourselves post on the internet. We got 3 stories for you today. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for canceling my wedding? Over the past year and a half, my fiance Jose, male 27, and I, female 25, have been planning a wedding for July of 2021. We've been together for 10 years and have lived together for 3 years. Jose and I both don't like the pomp and circumstance of weddings, and we're hoping to have a low-key, inexpensive one. My family, however, wanted something bigger. My mother has expressed to me just how much she's living through me in having this wedding. I have expressed to her plenty that social situations trigger my anxiety. She doesn't care. Jose and I gave in last year and agreed to marry in a church and have the big reception she wanted. Jose made sure if we were going to do this, my parents would pay for both the venue and the church fee. They agreed. Planning was stressful, and it caused a lot of tension between Jose and I. It turns out, the stress wasn't coming from the planning itself. It was the wedding as a whole. With my therapist's help, we identified that being a quote-unquote bride embodied many things my mother berated me for growing up and acted as triggers for my CPTSD. I came forward with my reservations to my mother. Her response was to gaslight me about my therapist's diagnosis and insist on the wedding happening the way we planned it. She joked that I could take some CBD or have a drink to stay calm during the wedding. She also began drinking to avoid confronting her feelings and regards it as the only thing she has that's hers. She does not take it seriously, and my father won't help. I found out that the private conversations I have had with my father about her drinking were shared with her. It got bad enough that at my bridal shower, she had 18 beers and berated my sister-in-law for calling her out on drunkenly shit-talking my brother to my family. Mind you, Jose's side of the family does not drink, as they've lost their grandfather to alcoholism. I feel horrible they were put in this position of having to watch her. When trying to make amends between my sister-in-law and her, she decided to take me on a car ride in which she screamed at, gaslit, and berated me for quote-unquote accusing her of being an alcoholic. She apologized for this half-heartedly, expecting me to forgive her and move on. As a result, I've gotten no contact with her. Jose and I made calls and canceled the big wedding altogether and are instead going to quietly get married at the courthouse this Saturday with a small group present. Half of the deposit from the venue was non-refundable, but we decided to take a small personal loan to make sure we don't owe my parents anything at the end of this. His side of the family is completely on board, while mine is sending emails and pleading with me to be a better person and make up with her. I know I've made a lot of missteps in this. I should have set my boundaries much earlier in this mess and stayed firm in not having the wedding. I wanted to hear from an unbiased party whether I'm being unreasonable. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I'm floored, honestly, at how much traction this has gotten in the past few hours. I can't begin to thank you all enough for your words of kindness and guidance in this very strange time. When I made this post, I think I had expected to get more of a mixed response, but reading all the not the a-holes come in has admittedly thrown me for a loop. I've since subbed to many of the subreddits commented to me by other survivors of narcissistic parents and cannot thank you enough for you all taking the time out of your day to reach out. Jose and I will be remaining no contact with my mother and my family going forward, and can't wait until the smaller, more intimate wedding this Saturday. For some needed context that's popped up in the comments a few times, the car ride I went on with my mother was not while she was drunk. I'm trying to meet the character limit on the post. I neglected to mention this was on a separate day from the shower. I apologize if that's misled anyone. Your family are the a-holes here. They forgot that the wedding is about the bride and groom and not everyone there. In extreme cases, it may also extend to being about the kids if they're really young and really important to the relationship, but probably not applicable here. Anyways, the moment you had reservations, your mom should have dropped everything to figure out a way to accommodate your concerns. When she fled from her duty to do that, She lost her right to complain about any of this. Enjoy your courthouse wedding, OP. Sorry for all of this strife. My mother had straight up told me that the wedding wasn't supposed to be for us. It was a celebration for the family. One of the emails I'd received from my aunts was verbatim, quote, "You know, the wedding is a chance for us to celebrate you. Please don't go off and elope and deprive us of that privilege." End quote. Not the a-hole. Your mother's the case. 18 beers at a bridal shower. That sounds humiliating for you. I would hate to see how she'd handle her alcohol at the wedding reception. Anyway, you and Jose made the right choice, and it sounds like you have a healthy relationship. Best wishes for your future. Not the a-hole, it's your marriage and wedding. There's no way for your mom to redo her wedding, and it's not your job to give her a big family wedding experience. Good luck to you and your fiancé. Yesterday, I married the love of my life and partner of 10 years in a quiet little backyard ceremony. 15 people were there, friends, family, and Jose's immediate family. The ceremony took all of the 15 minutes thanks to our amazing GOP, and the celebration was fun. Casual conversation over a simple sandwich lunch. We got to catch up with friends we haven't seen since the pandemic started, as well as make fun memories with the people willing to understand and love us without judgment. My mother, in response to finding out that we've got no contact with the family and planned a private wedding without her, sent one of my aunts screaming at me the day before the wedding over email. Catholic guilt, gaslighting, the whole shebang. I went all in on telling my family exactly what I felt and dealt with in regard to my mother and them. They had the audacity to invent a story that Jose is nothing but a controlling abuser who deleted her first email. He's trying to quote-unquote steal me away from them and convince me it was the truth. They want me to forgive my mom and be the bigger person, even after detailing the extent of her abuse to them. I tore my aunt a new a-hole over email, citing them all, my grandmother included, as cowards for not coming to me to tell me the alleged quote-unquote truth about Jose before. You know, offering pomp, circumstance, and praise for getting married to him. It's funny how quickly the narrative shifted from, "Oh, think of your poor mother," to, "You poor, stupid child, running into the arms of an abuser," to, "You're a monster canceling your family." The block button has been my best friend. Within the last 72 hours, I've learned exactly what kind of family I was raised in. In a way, I mourned that it had to be like this. No contact with the people I thought were supposed to love me. What I have realized is their brand of love is conditional. My mother also demanded the money back from the venue, and we sent a check to her. She still has chosen not to cash it. We have ample documentation to prove we have provided her that check. Jose is warning her in writing to cash that check by the 21st, or else we will stop that check and pay back the loan. Thank you to all the kind Redditors that have reached out offering words of encouragement and resources for coping with narcissistic, toxic family. Jose and I are thrilled to finally have had this wedding on our own, surrounded by the people that matter most to us. Congratulations on your wedding. I'm glad you two could have had your day the way you wanted to. Toxic families suck, but it sounds like you've at least married into a much kinder, more loving family. Best of luck to both of you in all your future endeavors. I'm glad you had the wedding you wanted, but I'm sorry your family turned out to be so horrible. I wish you and Jose many happy years together. Seems like your wedding was a metaphor for your life, a comfortable and loving event with plenty of room to the right people and not an inch for the wrong ones. I wish you and your new husband a long and happy life together. Second story. Am I the a-hole for disinviting a coworker for perpetually spoiling things? Almost every Friday, my coworkers and I will go out and get drinks and socialize. More often than not, it's an open invitation for the entire office, and even people outside of our team will join. We typically have a great time, but only when Logan, 20-ish male, doesn't show. Logan means well, but is easily excitable and engages people in conversations they're not interested in. The worst of this behavior has to do with spoiling movies, shows, and games. A few weeks ago, I mentioned that I had tickets to see the new Mortal Kombat movie over the weekend. Logan lit up and immediately responded, "You'll love the scene where spoiler happens and when spoiler shows up." I was bummed and walked away without continuing the conversation. Later that same night, Amy, another coworker, was discussing a TV show she was a few episodes behind in. Logan blurts out, "I can't believe that beloved character dies in episode whatever number." Amy, who had obviously not yet watched it, went silent and turned away. Logan laughed and said, "I just can't help it, I get too excited." None of us were amused. A few days later, in our team-only group chat, someone brought up Logan's tendency to spoil things and admitted that they wish he weren't invited to outings because of it. Multiple people agreed and began to list everything Logan had spoiled for them. With this in mind, I didn't add Logan to the email invite for the next week's hangout. He noticed he never got an invite and began to ask around. As I was the one who'd written the email, he was eventually directed to me. He pulled me aside as I left for lunch and let me know I excluded him by a quote-unquote mistake. Rather than try and play it off, I just told him the truth, that the fact that he spoils everything is obnoxious and rude. I told him that joining conversations just to spoil things is bad enough, but he also starts conversations with spoilers. Logan was immediately defensive, claiming it's not his fault we're slow to watch or play and so forth, and that he's just making conversation. I told him that if he swore he'd be more conscious about this habit, he could join us that Friday. He came and, lo and behold, spoiled the plot of a movie I wanted to see in theaters. Out of frustration, I called him a D-word and told him that this is exactly why no one socializes with him. He left soon after, and even though I said what everyone was thinking, I felt like an a-hole. Am I the a-hole? First edit. A few weeks ago we had lunch catered and all joined in the break room. A coworker had brought a book to read during lunch and Logan saw the cover, pulled up the Wikipedia, and read the entire synopsis out loud, including the big twist ending. I asked him why he would do that and he responded, "Why not?" Second edit. The book was Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Not the a-hole, that is infuriating and he deserves to be called out. If the group of people doesn't want him there, don't invite him. I would recommend planning these outings on your own time, such as at home or during your lunch, and writing from your personal email to everyone's personal emails. This is to cover your behind if he goes to HR for bullying or exclusion. The job can't comment on anything done in your time and with your property. Not the a-hole. I think you are honest and decent to explain it and give him a chance. He blew it out, but you tried. I have a friend like that, and as soon as they kick off, I'd cover my ears yelling la 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 in their face. Took a few times but they got it. These were one-on-one conversations. Imagine a whole work group yelling that in your face with their hands on their ears. Ha, the insanity. Not the a-hole. Sounds like this guy was raised to thrive in a negative attention arena, meaning that in order to get much needed attention, he had to get into trouble. And he's young still, probably socially inept, still. No excuse for that behavior. The point is, you gave him a chance and he did it yet again. Your response was 100% on point. As another poster suggested, I agree with taking these get-togethers offline so there isn't a chance for backfires. Your responses had me curious, so I tested something out. Last night, our office went out for drinks again and Logan showed up. At one point, when I knew he was listening, I mentioned a movie I really wanted to see. I gave the title and named some actors that were in it and left it at that. Logan didn't say anything immediately, but pulled out his phone a few minutes later. The rest of the night went smoothly until I was about to head home. Logan flagged me down and asked me to repeat the movie title I'd mentioned. I repeated the title I'd given earlier and Logan got upset. He told me that the movie didn't exist. He's right, I made it up. He called me annoying and a killjoy and said spoilers shouldn't matter if you're just going to watch something anyway. He told me to get over the fact that he likes sharing major plot points and claimed I ruined this night. And so, as many of you concluded, Logan is just a jerk who enjoys spoiling things. Part of me hopes that he spends his entire evening searching for a movie that doesn't exist. Part of me feels bad that he feels that's something he needs to do for whatever reason. Pulling a prank on him might make me kind of an a-hole too, but to be honest, I think it was worth it. This is gold. Logan is obviously out to annoy as many people as possible. He does not get to complain when people use that against him. Tell him that he should get over the fact that people think he's an annoying douchebag and don't want to be around him. Being ignored shouldn't matter when you plan to be a jerk. That was absolutely brilliant. Since he's made it abundantly clear that his life goal is to be the most obnoxious git ever, I think more of your coworkers should get in on the joke. Given that he ruins everyone else's fun all the time, he really is in no position whatsoever to complain when the tables are turned. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video so far and you really want to be an a-hole to the like button, go ahead and offer to make a mixtape for them, but give them a 4-hour recording that only talks about how annoying they are. Okay, let's get into our third story. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend in the middle of a game that I wish he would just be toxic like a normal person instead of an annoying POS? I'm a male 23, and my friends, male and female 21 and 24, play competitive MOBAs together, and usually we talk a little bit of shit here and there, but for the most part we are pretty chill. However, one of my friends, male 24, has this really weird habit that pisses me off all the time. Essentially, the more badly the game is going or the worse he's playing, the more he criticizes himself and talks about how terrible he is. The thing that drives me crazy about this is that he's honestly by far the best player in our group, and whenever stuff goes wrong that obviously isn't his fault, he's just like, "Sorry guys, it's my fault, I'm playing like shit." This dude can be 9-0 and he will say that he got lucky or got carried by us. The other day, it got particularly bad when we had a series of games where it just went really badly and he started getting noticeably frustrated. Again, he was doing the least bad in our group, and it would have been more than fair to blame other people in the group like me even. And he started saying over and over how trash of a player he was, and how he was a trash human being that disappoints everyone in his family and all of his friends. Like, holy shit. That's when I blew up and just said, I wish you would shut the F up and just be toxic like a normal person. Blame us or the game like you should be, since you're doing so obviously better than the rest of us. You're being an annoying POS with all this self-deprecating crap. He then apologized and then muted himself for the rest of the game. Afterwards, the rest of my friend group called me an a-hole because he's actually depressed in real life. I just said that being depressed doesn't give you the right to be an annoying ass to everyone in the group. It's just like toxic modesty, which I feel like is worse and more annoying than someone actually just getting pissed at people or the game like normal. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for my statements? You're the a-hole. Stop acting so superior because you don't feel like shit when your friend clearly does. If you really cared about him, you would pull him to the side and ask him why he is so hard on himself when he's the best player on the squad or something along those lines. Honestly, I hope he and the rest of your friends unfriend you for toxicity. You're the a-hole here. It would have been way better to talk with him about it before you got upset. By the sounds of it, his mental illness makes it impossible for him to gauge how well he is doing. Communicate with your friend, but also be understanding to him. You're the a-hole. He is suffering a depression and probably actually believes he is a worthless player. But even if he isn't and doesn't, screaming at him is not the way to go, and a total a-hole move. Well, this has been a roller coaster to say the least. I was quite clearly raked over the coals by you guys last time as I was being a clear a-hole. I did a lot of soul searching over the weekend trying to wrap my mind around how wrong I was, and I decided to talk to one of my other friends who's going into psychiatry to learn some more about depression, since as most of you told me, I needed to educate myself on it. My playgroup basically kicked me out over this, and after seeing things from another perspective, I realized that they had every reason to. Yesterday, I gave a more personal apology to my friend, and I apologized for being an a-hole and ignorant about how he was feeling. I then had a long talk with him about where he was at his life and how he was feeling, and holy shit, I didn't know how bad things were for him. Obviously, for privacy's sake, I'm not going to elaborate on that further, but needless to say, I honestly see him in a completely new light with regard to everything, and I'm actually shocked how, despite everything that has happened to him, He's able to be such an awesome person and a friend to everyone. Speaking of him being an awesome person, he convinced everyone in my playgroup to let me play with them again and not to hold anything against me. I'm honestly lucky as hell here. I should be down multiple friends, and yet I've made it out somehow unscathed. Ironically enough, I now feel a bit guilty about that. I have told him that I'll be around if he ever needs to talk to someone, and I'm hoping that I can turn a new chapter in our friendship. One more positive and actually fitting of the title of friend. Thank you to everyone who helped me understand my failings and why I was being an awful person. In particular, I would like to thank you/Seasonal Garden Hoe for their understanding and repeated attempts to get through to me. The particular comment they left that really struck a chord with me was actually this one. You know Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh? Do you know how all of his friends act with him and how they don't get angry with him? This actually meant more than they probably realized to me, because Winnie the Pooh was one of my favorite things to both read and watch as a kid, so thank you. If I had any awards to give, I would give them to you. Glad you were able to see the error in your ways. Keep checking in on your friend. As someone who's been in deep depression, that helps more than you might realize. Just knowing there's someone who cares enough to listen can really make a difference. You know, Winnie the Pooh characters are largely analogies to mental illnesses. It wasn't written this way intentionally, but people use the characters to connect to mental illnesses in a way that makes sense for the average person. Anyways, yay for learning. This was step 1. Maybe do something one-on-one with him. Hey, checking in, or I was thinking about you, does wonders. You'll be okay because you took the criticism and are trying to do better. You're leagues ahead of a lot of people. I never realized that as a kid. I guess it just didn't click on that level. Thank you for the advice. Guys, that was it for today's stories. Thank you very much for listening today. Do remember to smash that like button for me. And also subscribe to our channel to keep listening to these stories. Thanks again guys for all of your support. We will be seeing you in the next one.